I'm not gonna lie, self-publishing is hard. But what if you could shave months, even years, off the learning curve to get you from publishing to profit a whole lot faster? Now, if you're new around here, my name is Keith Wheeler. I'm a 5-time international best-selling author. I've been self-publishing books for almost a decade, and my passion is to help others like you go from publish to profit as fast as possible. So if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel and click that bell notification so you get alerted every time I put out new videos just like this one. Today I'm going to talk about 5 mistakes I made when I first started self-publishing. My hope is that you'll learn from these mistakes and actually see progress and success a lot faster than I did. Number 1 is listening to gurus that have been out of the game for a while. If you're on YouTube like this and you look at their channel, look and see how recently their newest video is. I've had people reach out to me and tell me that they're having issues selling books. And I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing? And they're like, well, I'm doing what so-and-so told me. And then I check out that YouTube channel and they haven't posted anything in 4 or 5 years. Well, clearly that stuff is going to be outdated. This industry changes so much. Rules change, algorithms change, people's search habits change. And so you absolutely want to make sure that whoever you listen to, whether it's me or someone else, that you check the videos tab and see when they published their last video. Also, and this might be a little bit hard to do because a lot of people, like myself, we use pen names and things like that, but try to see when the newest book they published was. How recently was it? For example, we're in February of 2024. I just got through publishing a book called Make Money Self-Publishing Puzzle Books. Okay, so I'm still in the game. I'm still publishing. Again, just because someone doesn't have anything under their name doesn't necessarily mean they're not still publishing, because they could be publishing under pen names, which is what I do majority of the time, is under pen names. But again, whether it's with YouTube or Facebook or whatever, however you're getting their information, check and see when the last time they produced a video was. And even if it was recent, how long was the one before that? You know what I mean? I know people who publish, every 4 years they'll publish one video. Okay, that doesn't mean that they know what they're talking about anymore. It doesn't mean that they're doing new things. If they're consistent with it, just like self-publishing, you need to be consistent with your videos. So again, check and see how new and fresh their content is. The second mistake I made was I tried being perfect. I spent years working on one book. I'd self-edit it, and then I'd send it off to an editor, and I'd pay for that, and then I'd get the changes, and I'd make those changes, and I'd self-edit some more and send it to another editor. And I kept doing this. And again, it took years to create that book and actually publish it. Sometimes done is better than perfect. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying to publish hot garbage, but what I'm saying is you need to really sit back and see how much time you're putting into it and how much these delays and all this extra editing or whatever, how much it's actually affecting the book itself. If the quality isn't really changing, if you're just fixing a couple of more typos or whatever, then really you need to ask yourself, is this done? Is my book done? It's not perfect, but is it done? Is it done enough to where it's going to give good quality content to my end user, even if it's not perfect? Because to be honest, as a writer, as a creator, we're artists. And chances are what we create is never really going to be perfect for us. And so my second mistake I made was I tried to be too perfect. Again, sometimes done is better than perfect. The third mistake I made, and I've seen many authors make this mistake, many self-publishers, and that is spreading myself over too many genres. When I first started out, I was creating no content books and I was creating children's books. That was fine. They were two different genres completely. But then I started doing middle grade books, and I started doing young adult novels, and I started doing all this other stuff. And what happened was I was spreading myself out too thin, to where at one point, I had probably about 6 or 7 different projects, all in different stages of completion. Meanwhile, throughout the year, nothing got published. So we really need to set goals and set yourself a schedule and say, okay, this needs to be done by this time. This needs to be done by this time. And really try not to spread yourself out too thin, especially when you're first starting out. It's way better to focus on just one genre or one book type and get that done right. Make sure that you got the customers and focus on them, focus on the customer experience, focus on the content that you're putting in there before you start stretching yourselves out too thin. The fourth mistake I made, and these are in no particular order, but it's not knowing my audience. I was creating what I wanted and not what they wanted, not what they needed, not what my audience was looking for. That's a surefire way of publishing a book and getting excited and then getting heartbroken that nobody buys it, because you don't know your customer. You don't know what they're looking for. You just know what you want. So you really need to learn what your customer, your potential customer, some people call it your customer avatar, whatever, what they are, who they are, what they're looking for. What are their interests? What do they do outside of reading this genre? Do they read other genres? All of that. You need to learn that. And a great way is to read the reviews from other books in your niche. You can read what buying customers are saying about that book. And you can learn from that, from the 4 and 5 star reviews, as well as the 1, 2s, and 3s, what people want, what they're looking for, what they really, really liked, what they didn't like, what they missed, what they wish was there. All of that you can learn without even creating a book yet, just by learning about your audience, by checking out your competitors in that niche. And the 5th mistake I made, and this probably is the number 1 mistake, is not setting realistic expectations. If you decide that you don't have a budget for running ads or whatever, and you don't have any kind of marketing or promotion plan, and you don't want to, you just want to publish and pray, as we call it, that's fine. But understand that publish and pray is the slow option. That's the way that's going to minimize the amount of potential your book has, minimize the amount of sales. And if you're okay with that, some people just want to publish a book because they want to say they're an author, or they want to say they've got a book published. That's completely fine. There's no problem with that. If you're doing it just for the passion of writing it or just for the passion of creating it, that's fine. But again, set your realistic expectations accordingly. If you're only doing it for yourself and you're only doing it because you want to see it up on Amazon or whatever, that's fine. But don't be surprised when you don't get any sales or you don't get a lot of sales. Don't be expecting thousands of dollars worth of royalties to come in if you're not putting anything into that, whether it's time or money. If you're not putting in any promotion, any marketing, then the chances are you're not going to be getting $1,000 pay months. You're just not going to, realistically. And that's fine. Again, but set realistic expectations. We've talked about this in the channel before. You can look at the categories you're in, and you can look at the BSR, the bestseller ranking of the books in there, and see in the top 100, see what number 1 is, what their BSR is, so you know how much it's selling. See what number 100 is. Can you compete with that if you're not doing any ads? Or can you compete with that if you're not doing any marketing and promotion? If you put more marketing and promotion in, what can you expect? You could end up being in a category that just doesn't sell. The number 1 spot might be, their BSR might be in the millions or in the 100,000s. Well, then there really doesn't make much sense in putting a lot of money in ads, because if people aren't reading that type of book a lot, then no matter how much money you put out there, they're probably not going to be spending a lot of money in it. So again, your time and money is best spent elsewhere. So again, know your niche, know your audience, know how voracious are they as consumers. Know all of this, so you make sure you put out a book that is good quality, that they're looking for and that they want to consume. But again, by knowing them, knowing how much they consume and how fast they consume it, and knowing your category and knowing your budget, you can really set realistic expectations. Now, I've made a lot more mistakes than this, but these are the 5 ones that really came to mind, that I think that by avoiding these 5 mistakes, you really are set yourself on a better track to be successful right out of the gate. Now, which of these mistakes that I listed were your favorites? Let me know down in the comments. Now, don't let the learning stop here. This right here is one of my biggest hidden gem videos, so check that one out. Now, if you've already seen that video, YouTube says that this video right here is perfect for you. So I'll catch you inside one of these videos, and remember to write right.